Also note, if you have any questions, you can post in the chat, and we will towards the end of the class discuss those questions. And if something really bothers, you can unmute yourself and a question that stops your understanding further subject, you can always raise your hand and uh, ask me right in the spot. That way we can clarify for the benefit of everyone, and everybody learns and we go forward. For me personally, my teacher taught me in the college, as I said, he used to travel about 30 miles on a small Luna. In India, there was if you are aware, it's a two-wheeler moped, a small moped. He was a monk in Chennai, ISKCON temple. He used to come all the way about 30 miles traveling all the way to the IIT, and we used to sit together in a temple setting, and he used to teach Bhagavad Gita for us. I used to wonder how he has such inspiration to teach, why he's spending so much of his personal time traveling almost 2 hours, because in Chennai, it takes about 2 hours to travel one way, 1.5, 2 hours. Now I understand, because it is really transformative. You can see a real change in your life once you learn Gita. So that's what made him inspired, made him to be so much inspired to teach. And he did not expect anything from me. Neither do I anything from you. We want, because if you have a bunch of sweets and you have more sweets, what do? You share with your neighbors. When you share the sweets, your joy increases when they are happy with eating that sweets. So it's a similar concept here. We learned Gita and we have changed our life, and we want everybody to take the benefit of this wisdom in their own life. That's the whole idea of sharing uh, this divine wisdom. And even Krishna in Bhagavad Gita towards the end says, there is nobody more dear to me. There is nobody in this world more dear to me than one who shares this wisdom with everybody else, with their neighbors, for their benefit, selflessly. So that is our inspiration, that is our passion. We want to share across North America to as many people as possible. I have about 6 students who are all teaching now. They're all, we each of us have about 50 to 70 students. Um, so that is our motivation for these classes. Yeah, with no further ado, let's move forward with our lesson today. So I'm still, as I mentioned before, I'm still in the introduction. We'll continue introduction. This gives us a very strong foundation when we start the slokas. It may take a couple more weeks, but it is good to have the strong foundation before we learn further in this journey. Yeah, so we will refer to the Bhagavad Gita as it is as part of our discussions. I will share the link for this book, online copy. Bhagavad Gita as it is was given by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He is the founder Acharya for ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. He also is a guru in a parampara. Yeah. So this knowledge of Gita comes in a guru parampara, meaning unbroken chain of disciplic lineage, meaning Lord Krishna gave this wisdom to the next generation, to the next generation. Like that, it is coming in an unbroken line of teachers to us. So the idea of having this unbroken line is that the message is preserved in its pristine purity. So it will have the same effect as if you would have learned from Krishna himself directly. I just want to double check if you are able to all hear clearly, or do you bring anybody can speak quickly to just explain, to just tell me if you're able
Yeah,
to.
I'm able to hear it.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah. And this wisdom is not new. This was given to Vivaswan, the sun god, many millions of years ago. That's what is uh, mentioned in Bhagavad Gita itself. So it comes in a line of teachers. Whenever there is a breakage in the line, again Krishna himself comes to this world to teach this message again. So that is the kind of because as the God, he wants to make sure this wisdom is available, and this is like a manual for life. You know how to lead your life once you learn Gita. Yeah. So he gave recently this wisdom to Arjuna about 5,000 years back. And Arjuna is a friend of Krishna. Not only a friend, he is also a devotee of Krishna. These are generally the qualities required to understand Bhagavad Gita properly. I mean, we can understand without being a devotee or if or being a friendly to Krishna, but we will understand the essence only when we take the position of devotee. In this world, those who are on the spiritual path are classified into three categories. We discussed these concepts. I'm just quickly revising. One is a jnani, one who is seeking after the knowledge. The second category is a yogi. Yogi is one who meditates upon the absolute truth. And then bhakta. Bhakta is a devotee of the Lord, and he looks for developing a relationship with Lord. All of us, all of us are not these physical bodies. We're actually the spirit soul within this body. So this physical body is a covering on the spirit soul. The spirit soul is like a spark, is like a minute part, and the size of it is described in our scriptures. It is mentioned the size of the spirit is, if you take your hair, the head of the hair, split into 10,000 pieces, and first split into 100 pieces, and take one of the 100 piece, and again split it into 100 more pieces. That is the size of this soul. But the soul is Satchidananda. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of bliss. But right now in our current body, we don't experience that. So the wisdom of Gita helps us to again revive the true happiness that soul is entitled to. Right now, all of us have the soul within us. That is the true self. This body is a covering. If I pinch you, you get pain. The pain is a symptom of consciousness. The soul is the originator of the consciousness. It's just like sun. If you see sun in the sky, sun is in one place, but the entire world is illuminated by the light of the sun. And anywhere you go, there is light. So similarly, the human body consists of this spirit, jiva. Human body consists of the spirit which actually spreads this consciousness throughout the body. Just like sun spreads sunlight throughout the universe, similarly, the soul spreads the consciousness within the entire body. That's why you feel the pain whenever somebody pinches, because you have consciousness. If you pinch a dead body doesn't have any pain because the soul doesn't exist. Soul doesn't exist, therefore the consciousness doesn't exist. You understand the concept? So we have multi-level existence. The core of us is the soul, the jiva, the spirit. It is eternal. It doesn't have any death. The body dies, the soul continues its journey to the next body, to the next body, to the next body. It's an eternal. So we have no death. That's why a wise man doesn't really become morose on the death. Of course, we lose a relationship. That is painful. But we understand that the jiva exists eternally. That's a very foundational concept. We learn more in depth in second chapter. I'm just giving an overview at this point. So multi-level existence, as I mentioned, the jiva is the core, and the jiva is covered by subtle body, which is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego, or ego, call it ego. Mind, intelligence, ego is like a second layer of covering on the jiva. And then third level is the physical gross body that we all can see with our senses. So the whole lessons of Gita are directed to purifying the mind and thereby controlling the mind. Once you have firm control on mind, your mind, because mind is the best friend or the worst enemy of anybody. We see so many suicides. Recently, somebody, a very good actor in India, passed away because mind makes hell out of heaven or heaven out of hell. So we need the right perception. Gita wisdom gives us the wisdom to see things in the proper perspective and ultimately helps us purify the mind. So all the problems in this world are primarily because of polluted mind. Anything that exists outside in a polluted fashion, that is an exhibition of one's own mind's pollution inside. So Gita wisdom helps us to bring this mind to pristine state. Okay, so I'll discuss more. I mean, we'll learn more about this as we move forward. And so, as I mentioned, the jiva is actually the spirit, and in its ultimate realization, once jiva becomes jivan mukta through the use of Vedic wisdom,
டிலே பண்ணனா நான் அப்புறம் நான் உன்னை பைக்கே கூட்டு போக மாட்டேன் இனிமேல்.
Yeah. So we'll discuss about the path of yoga and bhakti. In fact, I was giving a seminar for international yoga in the morning today, wherein I discussed in depth about the yogic path versus bhakta path. Srijit, I will explain you. We will discuss this. Yeah, this is an important concept. We'll learn this in depth. We are in the introduction right now, so we are only covering everything in a superficial fashion.
Thank you, bro.
But this gives us an overview of everything, and we learn this in depth as we make our progress in this journey. Yeah. In the path of bhakti, a devotee tries to develop relationship because ultimately he is a soul, God is the super soul, and this relation is an eternal relation, and he can relate to God in various states. As a servant, just like Hanumanji, as a passive entities like fruit or trees, or as a lover of God, like just like gopis, or parental relationship like Mother Yashoda, or a friendly relationship like Arjuna. So these are eternal relationships, meaning these are once somebody becomes a Jivan Mukta, he relates to God in a very specific relationship. And this is called Swarupa Siddhi. And it comes at a very high stage of perfection in Bhakti Yoga. We'll learn more about this. Let's not worry about that much right now. How Arjuna accepted Bhagavad Gita. At the end of Gita, one must come to similar conclusion as Arjuna had come. And Arjuna says in the 10th chapter, Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Sasvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum. So Arjuna says, you are the supreme truth, ultimate abode, the purest, untainted by material contamination, the absolute truth. And you are a Purusham, the supreme enjoyer, eternal and transcendental, original Lord, the unborn, the greatest. And not only Arjuna, all the great sages in the past, like Narada, Asita, Devala, Vyasa, they all accepted the same fact about Lord Krishna. And so we also should ideally come to the same conclusion when we learn Gita. If by studying Gita one doesn't come to similar conclusion, it means that the understanding is lacking some there is some misunderstanding in the lessons learned. Yeah. So Bhagavad Gita should be understood in the spirit of devotion. That's when we really get the entire message. Yeah. One should at least theoretically accept Lord Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the purpose of Bhagavad Gita? Bhagavad Gita is a manual for human life. It delivers the human from ignorance of material existence. Yeah. It really satisfies the purpose of life. Yeah. So just like Arjuna was in a constant state of anxiety on the battlefield with no clear direction, similarly in our life, we face many situations of complex choices or difficult things to decide or confusion, state of lack of clarity. Often we get into these kind of states because of the complex nature of this world. And in those moments, having the wisdom of Gita as a tool in your back pocket helps you navigate the situation in a very smooth fashion. So that's what is the purpose of Gita. This is a wisdom text, and leveraging this wisdom, we can navigate this world. Yeah, navigate this world in a very smooth way. I'm sorry. So please kindly keep all of yourself in mute. That way, there is no disturbance for the class in the middle. I mean, if it happens by accident, that's okay. I'm not worried about it. Yeah. Out of so many suffering, actually, in Gita, wisdom itself, it's mentioned, Bahunam Janmanam. No, let me just quickly open up. Yeah. Out of many thousands of among men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. This is the rarity of this wisdom. Bhagavad Gita, our real purpose of life is not understood by people in general. It is out of many thousands among men, one will really endeavor for perfection, like all of you. All of you have taken this basically to learn this wisdom. So that is a great sign. Krishna himself praises those people who have taken interest in this wisdom. Yeah, and in many slokas he talks about that. We'll come to it more when we discuss the slokas. Yeah, for such sincere student, Bhagavad Gita is spoken, like all of you. Reasons for Lord Krishna's appearance. Pavitranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanardhaya sambhavami yuge yuge. That's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita. So the Pavitranaya sadhunam, to protect the good people, vinashaya cha dushkritam, to remove the unwanted miscreants, dharma samstapanardhaya, to establish the real purpose of life, sambhavami yuge yuge, I come again and again into this material world because Lord Krishna is our father. Just like a father is always worried about his children, he wants to make sure, just like whether the child is in this country or in a different country, father's love is always there for the child. Just like that, Lord, who is our father, he is always there for us. He wants to make sure we understand the purpose of life. And by the way, why did we land up in this existence? That may be a question for many of you. What's this? Why am I here? Who am I? What is the purpose of life? All these are very relevant questions. All of you have those questions. That's why you're all here. I don't want to jump the topic, but quickly to give you a high level view of what, who we are and why we are here. To just understand that concept, I'll give you an example of. So we are all in this world because originally we are all in the spiritual realm. We are not from this world. It is accepted so in all the great wisdom texts of either East or the West. Nobody says this existence is the ultimate existence. Nowhere is it mentioned. Every wisdom text, whether it's Bible, Quran, or our wisdom text Gita, take Torah or any other major, wisdom texts within this world, they all talk about a separate existence. We all belong to that separate existence called, in our Sanatan Dharma, we call it as Vaikunta. Vaikunta means a place of no anxiety. That's our eternal existence. And Jiva, the spirit, exists in the spiritual realm originally. But the Jiva has decided to, there in that spiritual realm, it's all Anandhamud Vardhanam. It's a complete bliss, continuous happiness. And how are they enjoying? The Jivas are enjoying by serving God all the time. That's the mutual relation. Serving God means just not like a serving. It could be in a friendly relationship, but that's how it is described. So the Jiva, when it decides why only God be the center, that's when he loses his position in the spiritual realm, because there can be one God within the existence. And anybody who does not, have that mental clarity, he would be given to a different, realm existence, because um, there can be one president, for example, in this world. There can be in a country, right? There cannot be like 10 presidents. So when somebody has this understanding, then they will be sent to a different realm. That's called material existence, or Mrichaloka, which is the current existence that we are all in. And within this existence was created out of love by Lord, because just like, for example, there is a son of a president. He says, daddy, I want to be also a president. President says, no, you cannot be president. You are a small boy. When you become eligible, when you actually take part in this election and you become a president, then you can actually sit in this chair. But the son says, no, daddy, I want to become president right now. He says like that. Then what does the president say? Oh yeah, this boy doesn't want to hear me now. He doesn't understand. So let me create a mock room where he can act like a president. So he will create a mock assembly of, cabinet ministers and all the, like a presidential assembly, right? And he makes his son sit in the presidential assembly as a president. Now the boy tries to be a president and he tries to make some orders, and ultimately he understands this is all a mock. This is not real. So when he realizes, similarly, we are all in this world trying to mock like a mock presidents. We're all in this world with this one spirit of enjoying in this world. So when we fine tune our understanding to, when we become clear that we are not the enjoyer of this material energy, rather we are actually, we are related to God, and that relation is eternal, and I should go back to my eternal existence. This existence is a temporary. When somebody realizes that, just like the president's son realizes that, hey, this mock assembly is a mock assembly, it's not real. My orders will go nowhere. All of that I'm trying to speak here is just a mock show. Nobody really hears me. So similarly, when one tries to enjoy in this world in various ways and gets frustrated and understands all the existence that is, we see people dying. Everything is temporary. We come naked into this world and we go back naked when we die. giving up everything that we have acquired in this existence. So when one comes to understand these facts of life and tries to focus on the wisdom texts like Gita and the purpose of life and endeavors in that direction, and ultimately establishes his connection with God and goes back to God. So that is the purpose. I mean, the language can be different, but the same. Islam talks about the same. Christianity talks about the same. They call it heaven. I mean, heaven in our idea is little different than their idea, but ultimately they're all referring to an eternal existence. Yeah. So Lord, as the Father of all of us, He's eternally existing. He descends time and again to take care of His children by providing various books like Bhagavad Gita and the Vedic texts in general, and also sending His empowered people like great gurus, the saintly people like Jesus, or um, you know, or within our line there are many great saints like Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Nimbarka, Vishnu Swami, Sri Chaitanya, great wonderful teachers. From time to time he keeps on sending so that he can again distribute this wisdom within the material realm and help them come back to the eternal existence. That's the real purpose of life. Yeah. Yeah, we just discussed God is the supreme controller. There are 5 basic truths discussed in Bhagavad Gita. Ishvara, the God, the supreme controller. He has complete control on Prakriti, material nature, Kala, and Karma, and also Jiva. Jiva, when, yeah, he has a minute independence, but ultimately he is still controlled. Jiva is the living entity. The kind of, just a layman analogy between Ishvara and Jiva. Ishvara or God is like ocean, and Jiva is like a drop in that water. Jiva is very similar in his quality to like Ishvara, but very minute in quantity. Yeah. So that is Jiva. Jiva is all of us. Prakriti is the material nature. Material nature that we see all around us is also the energy of God. In fact, the Jiva is also considered energy of God. But the difference between Prakriti and Jiva is that Prakriti does not have consciousness. Jiva has consciousness. Jiva is called Para Prakriti, and Prakriti is called Apara Prakriti. Apara Prakriti means lifeless. Jiva is lifeful. So that's the difference between Jiva and Prakriti. In Kala is the time which runs the existence. Basically, we'll learn more about that. Karma is the activities of Jivas. All the Jivas, while they execute their activities in this world, they to fulfill their desires, they perform activities called karma. So the karma is the bondage that keeps oneself within this existence. And karma is a temporary. All these other things are eternal. Karma is the only thing that is temporary. When Jiva realizes his real position, understands that he is not this body, but he is a spirit soul, understands that his real purpose of life is to connect back to God and works towards that, his activities become non-reactionary. Non-reactionary means they don't uh, continue the cycle of existence within this material existence. Right now, our actions in our ignorance are reactionary. Reactionary means whenever we act, it would have some kind of a result. That result to, for example, you acted, so you gave charity. Charity is a good thing. But by doing charity, If your understanding is that, hey, I am a great man who wants to donate this money for the benefit of people, if that is your understanding, even though your activity is good, that gives you good karma. When you get good karma, you are entitled to enjoy the fruits of the good karma. So, which means you have to exhaust the good karma. For to enjoy the good karma, you may be given a good life in your future birth. Maybe you can become a resident of, you can be born as a son of a very rich man, where you have, access to, billions of dollars for, without much hard work. You are entitled to a lot of resources. So, like that, every action that we do in this world results in a reaction. The reaction could be good or bad based on our action. Both are binding in this world. But when a person understands, hey, I'm actually not this body, I'm a spirit soul, and everything in this world is given to me by God, and I'm only a caretaker, and I am just a trustee for all the resources that are in my possession, and my purpose, I'm just giving on behalf of God. I'm not the giver of anything. I'm giving charity, but I'm not the real giver. It is God's grace that I've just become a conduit for this, uh, for this action of giving charity. So if one comes to such understanding and performs his actions, that's called akarma, or actions that have no reactions. When one acts in this world in that fashion, this is the very critical wisdom in Gita. If you nail this wisdom, you actually become eligible to liberation right now. So when one performs actions in that spirit of a trustee for all the things that are in his position, and relates to everybody in this world in that specific relationship, he incurs no karma. It's called actions that have no reactions. In fact, such actions exhaust the existing reactions that are to be enjoyed by the person, or to be suffered by the person. So when one performs actions that way, he becomes eligible for liberation. So a person who is a Jivan Mukta has no balance karma. So that's the main concept. So one can exhaust his own karma while living in this world with the right consciousness and understanding. So we'll understand more about this in third chapter of Gita in depth. We understand how to actually implement this in our life. Third as well as fourth chapter. Yeah. So we already discussed all these concepts. Let's move on. Prakriti is the material nature. God is the Purusha, and Prakriti is like mother. This nature, that's why we call Mother Nature, and it is ultimately in the control of God, the Supreme Purusha. Everything is harmoniously working in the eye of God. Everything has a purpose. Because our understanding is limited, we do not understand, oh, why this happened, why that happened. We have so many questions, questioning everything, but everything has a purpose. So we will understand slowly as we digest this wisdom of Gita, we will come to the same conclusion. Understand that everything happens by purpose in this world. Nothing is unreasonable. Yeah, we discussed karma. Yeah, we should clearly understand the difference between Jiva and Ishvara. God is not like us. God is absolute. He is conscious. He's just like you're conscious, right? You have consciousness means the creator of you must be conscious. How can it be that the creator of us cannot be conscious? We may not understand. Suppose an ant is there in this building. He may not understand the entire structure of this building. Understand that we are limited in our understanding. And the Vedic texts, the wisdom texts are there to open our eyes to this understanding. Yeah. Just like the living entity is the knower of the field of this body. The body is called a field, kshetra. and he knows completely about this field. Not fully, he doesn't know what's going on with his pancreas, but he is considered the knower of this field. Similarly, the Lord is the knower of the entire existence. He is conscious, not materially contaminated. Jiva is conscious, but is materially contaminated, because Jiva is very tiny. He can be overpowered by the Prakriti. So he gets materially contaminated. What does it mean by materially contaminated? We'll understand. Basically, he develops wrong desires within this existence. That's called contamination. So the contamination within his mind is called material contamination. We'll understand more about that. The Jiva, the Lord exists as Paramatma within the heart of every Jiva. And the Jiva also resides within his own body. So within our individual body, there are two things. One is the Jiva, the individual soul, and the Paramatma as the supervisor and the caretaker for the Jiva. So God is always with us. Never think that I am alone in this existence. Never. You are always supported by Lord within your heart. Right now, our consciousness is all outwardly directed, meaning we are focused. Our consciousness flows from the soul through the mind to the objects of the senses within this existence. Yeah, the senses like eyes, ears, they act as a conduit to focus on the sense objects, to enjoy in this world. Our consciousness is outwardly directed right now. But as we understand Vedic wisdom, we start converting this focus from outward, the flow of consciousness towards the outward direction, towards inward. Meaning, suppose this is like a torchlight. Now you are focused on outside. Slowly you would turn it inward towards the Paramatma within the heart. It is matter of fine-tuning your consciousness. It happens over a period of time, but when it happens, you can see the difference. So in that, when we start connecting with Paramatma within ourselves, that's called yoga. Yoga means connection. Yoga comes from the root word yuz. Yuz means to establish connection. So when the Jiva, who is right now trying to enjoy this world in various ways, through the use of his senses, when he directs his consciousness towards Paramatma within the heart and connects with him and tries to, he will feel so satisfied, so blissful in that state of his relationship with Paramatma. Nothing in this world bothers him. No disturbance is big for him. When he develops that connection, just like suppose a child wants to cross the road. He's a very young boy, 4-year-old. If he is alone, he feels perturbed, disturbed. How can I cross? There are so many vehicles going on the road. But suppose he has the hand of the father. He caught hold of his father's hand. How comfortable he is. He is no worried. He can go anywhere. If his father goes anywhere, he can just go. He is not worried, about the vehicles that are flowing. He has no fear of danger. Similarly, when we are connected with Paramatma within the heart, when we establish our relationship with God, we become surcharged with the power of that protection of the Lord. And that is the difference. That is the difference that wisdom text like Gita can bring within our life. When we are able to relate ourselves to Paramatma very closely, basically we have turned our consciousness inward. Doesn't mean that we don't act in this world. We continue to be software engineers. We continue to raise children. We continue to operate in this world, just like I am doing, just like many of us are doing. But our consciousness is fine-tuned. It knows the real purpose of life, his relationship with God, so on and so on and so forth. Then he has such, uh, he has no death, and he has a loving father. He's always loved by Lord. Never will Lord reject him. When he understands all these facts, and when you start practicing yoga, you start realizing these facts. This is not a theoretical, okay, I gave you some mental ideas, keep these ideas and, let's see how it goes on. No, these are not simply mental ideas. These can be realized. This is all theory, philosophy at this point, but all this can be realized in one's life. Bhagavad Gita gives the idea that we are temporary in this world. We are actually the soul. But when we practice the yoga technique given in Gita, like Bhakti Yoga, covered in about almost 7 chapters, we understand we actually exist in that relationship with Paramatma. So we can transform our life completely with that understanding. Yeah, so the Lord is the controller of all the bodies. He exists within every body, and ultimately He's the controller. Upadrishta Anumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. That is how Gita describes God. Upadrishta means oversee. Upadrishta, drishta means watching. Upa means overseeing. Upadrishta Anumantacha, he is the supreme controller. Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara. He is the Bharta, means he is the caretaker of all the living entities, whether you are a male or female, everybody is being taken care, loved by Lord. Maheshwara, he is the supreme controller. And Jiva is the controlled or conditioned living entity. And Jiva is actually overpowered by the energy of the material existence. We'll understand more about this. Don't be confused if you don't understand now. Yeah, Lord is never affected by karma, because in fact he, like just in the beginning I talked about the example of a president and his son, right? This entire material existence is a temporary creation for the jivas who want to enjoy in this existence. This is all created temporarily so that jivas can understand that ultimately this existence is temporary, and I am constantly given the real problems of life are birth, death, old age and disease. These are the real problems. It is not my employment, it is not my toothache. None of these are considered real problems. A real problem is a problem that is common to all. Nobody wants, nobody can avoid it. That's called a real problem by definition. If you define a real problem by the definition, no one wants, nobody can avoid, and common for all. The real problems will not be toothache, because it may be a problem for me, for the doctor that is a solution. Employment could be a problem for some, but not for everyone. But if you take birth or death, old age and disease, these are going to be a problem for everyone. So wisdom texts like Gita tell that a person who is wise wants to solve these real problems. By understanding the wisdom of Gita, by applying the teachings in our own life, we can actually conquer these real problems of life. What are those real problems? Birth, death, old age, and disease. Ultimately, we get liberated from this existence, this temporary existence. In fact, Lord Krishna himself declares in Bhagavad Gita this about this existence. Asasvatam dukkhalayam. 2 words are used to describe this existence. He says he is the source of all this existence, and he also describes the nature of this existence. Ashashvatam means temporary. Dukkhalayam. Dukkhalayam means a temple of miseries, right? Just like Devalayam or Grandhalayam means, Devalayam means a place where Lord exists. Pustakalayam or Grandhalayam means a place where books exist. Similarly, this world is described as Dukkhalayam. Dukkhalayam means a place where miseries exist. Nobody, and the types of miseries are primarily 3 kinds: Adi Daivika, Adi Bhautika, and Adhyatmika. Miseries caused by one's own mind and body, We all get diseases. We all get mental problems. We all get anxieties. Those are all called adi adhyatmika problems. Sorry, those are not there in this, but I thought those are important concepts to talk right now. You can all hear this recording if you want to revise, because these are all important concepts. Once you learn, you get the Gita wisdom like a breeze. So all of us in this world go through these three types of problems. Adhyatmika, which is miseries caused by one's own mind and body. Adi Bhautika, miseries caused by uh, other living entities. A mosquito could be biting you, or your manager, or your father-in-law or mother-in-law, or your own relatives, or your own political leader. Could be anybody. Misery is caused by other living entities upon us. We are always facing. Nobody can say, I have never faced a problem with anybody else. Nobody can ever say, my mind and body has never given me trouble. Adhyatmika, Adidayika, and Adi Bhautika means misery is caused by material existence, the things that are not in our control. Right now, we're all facing trouble with coronavirus, for example. Everybody is going through that. Volcanic eruption or earthquakes. These are all miseries caused by nature, physical nature. So these are all the types of different problems. A person who is wise wants to solve these problems at the root. If you want to solve a problem, you have to go to the root, right? Just like, for example, this home has a leak. If I try to, there is a leak somewhere, and I try to fix it by patching it out, right? It may solve temporarily, but after 6 months, I realize, oh, the hole has actually become even bigger. Then what do? I go to the architect of this building, find out the actual architecture pictures, diagrams that show exactly what is there at this junction and what could have caused for this leak, and fix the structural problem. When I fix the structural problem, then I would avoid this problem entirely. So similarly, uh, the jiva, when he understands the root of the real problems of life, and solves through the wisdom of Gita, then he will solve these real problems. And thereby, once one achieves liberation, he becomes Jivan Mukta, meaning he avoids the existence within this material world. He becomes Jivan Mukta. He is no more obligated for his continuous existence within this material creation. Yeah. So, yeah. So the living entity, yeah. So he acts in this world and continuously binds himself through actions and reactions, his own actions. Yeah, because he's ignorant. He doesn't know that his actions are binding him. And his current actions are going to become reactions for his future. Sometimes one may wonder, oh, why I am acting nicely, but I'm getting negative reactions. Why am I suffering in this world? The simple example to understand this is, there was a village, and in the village, there was a granary. One second. Hare Krishna Prabhu, I'm in a class. I will call you back. Yeah, Hare sorry. Yeah. So I was giving the example of village, right? So the village has a granary, and all the villagers are farmers. They would cultivate every year new crops. They would grow rice, and every year they would actually fill the granary with fresh rice from the top. And when they need to use, they would take from the bottom, right? There is a hole at the bottom of the granary. The granary was a long structure, and they would pour from the top. All the village would accumulate together all the rice, the grains that they grow, and from the top they pour, from the bottom they take out. And one year there was very good rain, the crop came very nice, the quality of grains is very, very good. So they all poured the best quality of rice on the top. But the same year, when they're taking out from the bottom, the rice was put actually 2 years back. That rice quality is not as good because 2 years back the rains were not good and overall crop quality is not that great. So when they're taking the grains from bottom, the rice that they're getting is not good. So they were wondering why we are getting. Then they understood actually 2 years back, the rice quality that we grew was not as good. So similarly, the reactions that we are, the current existence is defined by our past actions. Maybe in your past life, in the like 2 lives back, you were acting in a certain way that was resulting in a certain kind of reactions to come at the current moment, right? So when such things happen, we may not have, we may not be getting good results. You may be acting very piously in this world, working very hard at your office, but end of the year you may get a bad reward. Your manager says you didn't get promotion. The reason is our current result is not just based on your current actions. It could be part of it, but lot of your past due karma also plays a major role in your what you get right now. So a jiva should not worry about what he is getting right now. He continues to act nicely. One day all his account is going to be positive and he's going to keep getting good results. And in fact, you should act in a akarmic way. Akarmic way means actions that does not result in any reactions. We already briefly discussed about this before. When one's consciousness is purified, he acts in a akarmic way. Means he understands that he is a trustee in this world and he's just acting on behalf of God in this existence. So when one fine tunes his consciousness in that way, it becomes purified. We'll understand more. If you are not very clear about these complex concepts, we are going to come back to it. I'm just briefly describing all this at this point.
Sure.
Consciousness. What is consciousness and what is bhakti? Consciousness is a symptom of the soul. A living entity like any of us will or conscious. I was giving the example of if I pinch you, you get the pain. Consciousness is flown from the soul. The soul is we are like a tiny jiva within this body. I mentioned this before. The jiva emits consciousness, just like sun emits light in the universe. Entire universe is lighted up by one, God fixed one light bulb. Imagine his intelligence. God just fixed one light bulb, the entire universe gets lighted up for almost half a day, and on whose dependent we all depend in so many ways. Without sun, we have no food, we have nothing. None of our existence can continue, isn't it? So we should be so grateful. So that is the wisdom of God. With just one single arrangement, he can take care of entire universe in a way. So similarly, the jiva is within this body. He spreads consciousness within this body, and his consciousness is felt everywhere within the body. Yeah, consciousness is not generated by matter. It is not material. It is actually spiritual in nature. Yeah. Right now, our consciousness is covered. It's like, suppose there is a light bulb in your room. If you cover it with, say, a red color paper, a transparent red color paper, you would see the light as if it is emitting a red light. If you cover it with yellow light, yellow sheet, you would see it as yellow color being emitted. Similarly, the jiva, the soul, is his consciousness is covered by the current material existence, right? What defines where does this covering actually form? It is formed on his mind and intelligence. So as I described in the beginning, the jiva is the core of our existence. He is covered by the mind and intelligence as a subtle body, and on top of it he is having this gross frame of body, which is the gross body. Three levels of existence. The soul is the core, mind and intelligence is the second level, physical body is the third level. And mind is, what is mind? Mind is a repository of experiences, and it expresses likes and dislikes. When we like something or when we dislike something, that is all coming from our mind. We are attached to certain things. Naturally, we are attracted to it. Suppose somebody loves cricket. It means he has an emotional attachment to that particular subject. It is because his mind is attached to it. You understand? So, mind defines our attachments and aversions. You get it? And intelligence is the analytical part within our existence. So intelligence is a subtle material form of our body that has the analytical power to understand and discriminate what is right, what is wrong. Suppose I gave you a sweet, a gulab jamun, nice succulent gulab jamun. Okay. Now you have it before your eyes. The smell is coming out, ilachi smell is coming. You are, very much tempted to eat, but you understand you have diabetes, for example. Somebody is having diabetes. Then the mind is attached to it. Mind says, "Go eat it, no problem. Only one time. It's okay. It looks like the gulab jamun is awesome. Just eat it." That's what mind says. The intelligence says, "No, you should not eat it. It's not good for you. For your long-term benefit, you better avoid it now." So both, are in a conflict mode at that point, and generally one overpowers the other. If your emotional attachment to the object is strong, nobody can stop you. You just go and eat it, right? And if your intelligence is strong, your intelligence um, is strong, then you bring in the power of discrimination and understand, yes, this is not good, I better avoid it. That's the willpower. That's the discriminatory power that we all can develop. What does Gita do? It builds our intelligence. Intelligence is not only just analytical power about analyzing material existence. Somebody can analyze the artificial intelligence algorithms. That is just material aspect. That's not really considered a great thing in wisdom text. The real discriminatory power is understanding what is right, what is wrong. That is called spiritual intelligence. And it doesn't matter how materially intelligent you are. Bill Gates may be materially quite intelligent, but that has no good standing in the spiritual angle. In the spiritual angle, one is appreciated for his clarity on understanding what is good for his long term, prayas and shreyas. Shreyas is the long term good, prayas is the short term good. So one who looks up, so that discriminatory power is given by the wisdom text like Gita. Yeah, so Bhagavad Gita teaches us how to purify our consciousness. So our consciousness is primarily constituted by our mind, our intelligence state of existence. If our mind and intelligence is materially contaminated, meaning it has, uh, you know, it is covered by lust, greed, anger, envy, false prestige. These are all called enemies. And these are all, enemy doesn't exist in the person outside. Actually, enemy exists within your mind. Anger doesn't exist outside. Anger is not caused by an object. It is actually that starts in your mind. So these are called anarthas. Artha means a thing of value. Anartha means a thing that has no value. So unwanted things within our mind are anger, greed, envy, false prestige. These are called our real enemies. The real enemies don't exist outside. They are all within our mind. By the wisdom of Gita, we can use the wisdom to actually get out of these unwanted things completely. So that's why it's called chitta suddhi. Chitta suddhi means, chit means consciousness, suddhi means purification. So through the wisdom, the wisdom text of Gita helps us. They act like water of Ganges to purify the mind and intelligence. When our mind, which is right now filled with material desires on how to enjoy this existence, gets purified, then it gets clear direction, can clearly see things as they are. And he's at that point is not disturbed by any kind of problems in this world. So Bhagavad Gita teaches how to purify our consciousness. Purifying consciousness means purifying our mind and intelligence. Yeah, when Jiva is conditioned, he's called, contaminated, he's called conditioned. Conditioned means you need certain condition to be happy in this world right now. You need certain money, you need certain, job, certain, so many conditions right now are required for us to be happy in this world. But when you advance spiritually, when you come to a state of purifying your consciousness, that we taught a little before, at that point, you are not dependent on existence, because as I described before, your consciousness is right now flowing outward. When you direct it towards your inside, your super consciousness or Paramatma within you, then you have a clear anchor, you have a clear support from inside itself. Inside, or we call God in the temple, doesn't matter. When you have that strong anchor established, the help established with the higher self, then you're not conditioned anymore. Then you become liberated. The opposite word for conditioned is liberated. Right now, yeah, mukti or liberation means freedom for bodily concept of life or material consciousness. See, all these terms are similar. Material, we call it material consciousness, or living in the bodily concept of life. Bodily concept means I think I am this body, and this body exists to enjoy in this world, and everybody around me, everything around me is for my enjoyment. These are all called bodily concepts, and ultimately we understand this body itself is temporary. The thing that I think is the source of my pleasure becomes the source of my pain. Actually, when you become old, you can't even, your desires still continue to be what they were before. But unfortunately, your body cannot support your desires. It becomes a miserable state. So that's why right now you all started this great journey of learning Gita. This is great start. Ideally, this should be started at a very young age, but it doesn't matter. Even I started after 20 years of my existence in this world. So it doesn't matter. Whenever we start, the more you learn, the more you apply this wisdom in your life, the life becomes more happier. You are not disturbed because you become old. In fact, you become a support for all your family, all your friends. Everybody loves you because you have the right conceptions of life. Yeah. In the material consciousness, my conception is I live for my existence. I am the creator, I am the enjoyer. But actually, we are only a cooperator in this existence. We are like part of a mission that cooperates with the mission. Part of the body cooperates with the body. Just like a part is not independent of the entire existence. It is dependent. Yeah, this is basically explaining the energies of the Lord. The energies of the Lord are either spiritual or material. Material is basically external energy, which constitutes all this material nature around us. We call Mother Nature. That's all energy of Lord. It has no consciousness. That's why it is called inferior energy. The superior energy primarily consists of Antaranga Shakti or Tatastha Shakti. Antaranga Shakti is primarily, will not discuss, this is a deeper concept actually. It is discussed in Chaitanya Charitamrita, a Vedic text. Antaranga Shakti is basically the existence within the Vaikuntha planets. In fact, you'll be surprised to know most of the existence is in Vaikuntha. 90% of existence, people actually live in Vaikuntha. Only 10% exist within the material realm. Material realm means Earth is just one tiny speck of material existence. There are like millions of such planetary systems that are within the material realm. So all of us are called Tatastha Shakti, marginal potency. It's not, but the difference is that it is actually conscious. Unlike material thing, which is unconscious, we come under the para Shakti of the Supreme Lord. Although we are called Shakti, we are not Shakti in the energy. We conceive it as if it is lifeless in general, right? Energy means dead matter. That's what we think. But in the spiritual circles, the energy that we are actually spiritual in nature. We are conscious. We are conscious energy of God. So this we'll discuss later. This is a higher concept. We'll skip for now. Yeah. This is about different manifestations similar to what we discussed, the 5 topics. Yeah, we'll not discuss this now. There are 24 elements of existence. This is again discussed in 6th chapter of Gita. So we are primarily consists of 5 Mahabhutas: earth, water, fire, air, ether. 5 knowledge acquiring senses: eyes, nose, ear, skin, tongue. 5 working senses: voice, leg, hands, anus, and genitals. 5 objects of senses: form, smell, sound, touch, and taste. And after these 20 elements, there is mind, intelligence, ego, and unmanifested. It's called Prathan. Prathan. It's called unmanifested existence, called Prathan. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, these concepts will learn slowly. No worries at this point. Yeah, this is a nice text. Let's discuss this and end the class. We are learning Vedas now, Bhagavad Gita specifically, but let's understand what this Vedic tree has. The Vedic wisdom, Vedic canon of wisdom is a very broad wisdom. It caters to various categories and at various levels it exists, meaning it exists for, like an elementary school student. From an elementary, it caters to like an elementary student as well as it caters to a PhD student. So it is very broad and very variegated. Primarily, Vedic wisdom is divided into 2 primary uh, uh, 2 primary canons. One is called Shruti, the other is called Smriti. Shruti is the Vedic text that is revealed, that is a revealed wisdom. Revealed wisdom means these are direct revelations of God to this world. right? So this wisdom text exists in unchanged fashion eternally, right? All the Vedas, Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Avatarva, they all come under this. This is just giving an overview of all of this. Okay, don't worry if you don't get it, it doesn't matter. I'm just giving an idea so that you understand and appreciate the broadness of our Vedic wisdom. And each Veda consists of mantras called samhitas, brahmanas called rituals, aranyakas, esoteric philosophical explanation of these mantras that are given in samhitas, and Upanishads, which is the conclusive understanding of Vedas. Each Veda, take Rig Veda, it has samhitas, brahmanas, aranyakas, and Upanishads. Take Atharva Veda, it has the four things. The conclusion is always there in Upanishads. Upanishads are considered the highest Vedic philosophical texts, or the Jnana Kanda. Vedas have Upavedas, which are subtexts of this Vedic text. Dhanur Veda, Ayurveda comes under this. And Vedas also has Vedangas. The Angas means the parts that support, which is primarily Kalpa, Siksha, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Chandas, and Jyotish. So all the Jyotish Shastra comes under this. Kalpa, all the ritual details are given in this. And this is revealed wisdom. Revealed wisdom means it's a revealed truth. And it's called, all of this is called Apaurushaya, means it is Vedic wisdom is not human originated. Any wisdom that comes from human is limited. It has so many limitations because humans have limitations, right? For example, we have a limitation on what we can see. That's why all our scientific wisdom is defective. So anything that is human originated has defects of humans. Humans have defects, so the knowledge that comes from humans. You take any theory, it is just matter of time. It's going. Newton came and he gave a Newton's laws of motion, and it existed for 300 years, 3 centuries. When Einstein came, he broke those laws. He showed there are higher truths than what Newton gave as the wisdom. It's just matter of time. Over the centuries, Einstein's wisdom would also be broken. So, because it is human originated, there is always a higher truth and nobody can stop it. And at some point it will be revealed. So anything that human originated has limitations because humans themselves have limitations. We'll discuss that later. But Vedic texts are not like that. The Shruti texts were as it is given, the pristine purity of those wisdom is revealed at some point and they were continuing to be as it is. There is never a word that is changed in these texts. And now coming to Smriti, then when the Vedic wisdom is digested by the great sages and they in turn speak this wisdom to their disciples, that becomes Smriti. Smriti is the same Vedas, the same wisdom of Vedas, but given in a very nice capsule. Vedas are like mother teaching the child. Mother doesn't have a lot of time. She gives, instruction to the younger child, and younger child is supposed to follow. But Smriti is like a big sister to the young child. If there is if I have a sister who can give me more time and spend more time with me and explain me, it becomes more easy for me to digest. Smriti is that category of wisdom which is explained in a very easy language, especially for people of Kali Yuga, especially in the form of Itihasas and Puranas. These are Vedic texts that are digested by the great sages, and they in turn gave this wisdom back to us in their own words, in their own understanding of the same Vedic texts that are given in Vedas. So it primarily consists of, again, ritual sutras. I'll not go into details. So for example, all the yajnas in the home that are part of, that are performed coming from Grihya Sutras. All the ritual sutras, they're all part of Kalpa Vedanga. They all, they're given here. And then tantras. These are words spoken by Lord Shiva to Parvati. They're in three categories: Rajasic, Tamasic, and Sattvic. Pancharatras, Vaishnava worship. Go to any Vaishnava temple, Vishnu temple, like Sri Rangam or Tirupati. They all have a set of standards. They follow the agamas. And Pancharatra, especially in our centers, in our ISKCON temple, we follow the Pancharatra called Narada Pancharatra. The teachings given by Narada Muni on how to perform the worship. The performance of worship is not a random mental idea on how we should worship God. It is actually already given in the scripture, in the Smriti, called Pancharatra. So these methods talk about how to worship Lord in the temple. Because Lord in the temple is not a representation of God. He is God himself right there. Out of causeless mercy, he comes. By the prayers of a pure devotee or a pure sage, he comes in the form that we all can worship. So existence of God within the temple, he is not a representation. Many people think God is this form of God that we see in the temple is a representation of God. No, he is not a representation. He is God himself. There are certain agamas. Through those agamas, we invite Lord from Vaikuntha to come and exist within this material frame called the Vigraha, worshipable Vigraha. And through Shodapacharas, we worship the Lord, and through mantras and agamas, we invite the Lord to come and reside in this particular existence, in this particular temple. And when he comes, there is a ceremony, particular ceremony called Netron Militam, means the first time Lord opens his eyes in a particular ceremony to start blessing the people who comes and visits his place. The temple is supposed to be treated like the home of God. That's why in our temples, we actually offer bhogas almost 6 times a day. And we change every day. We give bath to the Lord. We worship just like, if we take care of a person, just like that we take care. Because through that, those are all methods. It's not that Lord is in need of that. It is by his causeless mercy, he appears in the form so that we can personally relate to him. And when you do all these processes called deity worship, I'm a pujari also. I act as a pujari in the temple. So I do all of these activities. So that kind of purifies our heart. You can clearly see once you start worshiping Lord in the temple, it is such a purifying experience. There is nothing that would come anywhere close to it because he really exists there. You can really feel that once you start worshiping closely. But anyway, I'm going to deviate. So that is Pancharatras. And then Puranas. Puranas, we all know, like Bhagavad Puran, right? Or Vishnu Puran, Markandeya Puran. These Puranas are historical narrations of the past, of how great people have lived in the past and perfected their life. That gives us is a kind of hope, because in the current existence we may not directly perceive God, but from the past experiences of people we can understand actually this is all practical and possible. It gives us confidence. So those historical narrations in the conversations of people in the past who have perfected their life in the past, we learn so many wisdom truths. And then itihasas like Ramayana, Mahabharata, and then 6 darshanas. Shad darshanas, out of which of course Vedanta is the primary one, which is given by Vedavyas, and all the Vedic texts are given primarily to us in the form of writing by Vedavyas. So we are all eternally grateful to Vedavyas. That's why when we perform Guru Puja in general, anywhere in the world, we worship Vedavyas. Vedavyas is considered the Adi Guru for Vedic wisdom. He is the person, he is a Trikalagna, meaning he understands the past, he understands the current, he understands the future. Because he is the Trikalagna, he is able to see that in the future, the people of Kali Yuga are, in the previous ages, the Vedas were not in written form. They are coming as a word of mouth from, the teacher to the student. Just by hearing once, people would remember. They're called Ekasantagrahi. Just by hearing once, they would understand. But people of current age are not that capable. In fact, as the ages progress, people are becoming less and less capable mentally and physically. Even if you go back 500 years back, I went to a museum called Salarjung Museum in Hyderabad in India. There were the the fighting instruments by the kings at 500 years back or 300 years back. They are like so heavy. The armor is so heavy. Uh, the people of current days cannot even hold them in their hands. So within the 500 years itself, we can see the strength of the physical strength of the people have reduced, and the capacity has reduced. You can see some of the old temples. They have rocks. They're made of huge boulders of rocks. Can any of us imagine to construct such buildings without the help of cranes? If suppose you want to construct, no, we can't. But people just few centuries back were able to do. So I'm just giving some examples. The people in the previous ages were not, don't think that they are actually, Adi Manos, they don't have any, um, wisdom, or actually Vedas were, in the Vedic age, people are far more clear about the purpose of life, and they are far more physically strong, far more healthy. They were living much longer, much wiser, much peaceful, much happy. In every way, they were actually considered much better. If you, I read Bhagavatam on a daily basis, so I read like we can clearly see the kind of existence in the Vedic age. It was full of riches. Anyway, we'll not go into that. So Puranas talk about these, the great kings in the past, like Dhruva Maharaj or Prahlad Maharaj, how they have conquered material existence and achieved the ultimate perfection of life. Shad Darshanas, again, we'll not go into detail. These are, Darshana means perception. So when the Vedic texts were understood by particular sage in a certain way, like for example, Jaimini understood and he gave this, his understanding called Mimamsa, and Gautama gave Nyaya, epistemology. Epistemology is a very important concept even in current philosophy. Why something exists, that is answered in epistemology. Logic, it's called logic. And Vaiseshika, philosophy of existence, why anything exists. Yoga, given by Patanjali, gives the sadhana, process of achieving the perfection, and Sankhya, metaphysics. Anyway, this is not very important for us, but the idea you should understand is Vedic wisdom is vast. Is there any scope to understand all of this? One may wonder, right? But the good fortune is that this entire Vedic wisdom is available in a very short form, in the form of Bhagavad Gita. If the Vedas are considered like the cow's body, there was one wonderful sloka by Adi Shankaracharya. He is a great saint in the past. So he gives, Pardhavatsa Sudhir Bhokta. This entire Vedic wisdom is like the body of a cow. And what is the essence of the cow? Essence of the cow is the udder of the cow, where one can get the milk. So if this entire Vedic wisdom is like a cow, Lord Krishna is like an expert coward. He expertly pulled the essence of this entire Vedic wisdom in the form of milk. And who is he giving? Who is the calf? The calf is Arjuna. Arjuna was, he is like the calf. He is getting the essence, the milk, which is the essence of this cow in the form of Bhagavad Gita, is given to Arjuna. After Arjuna drinks, after the calf drinks, where will the milk go? The milk is distributed for the rest of the people by the covered man, right? Just like milk is available to all of us after the calves would drink. Similarly, the Vedic wisdom is also available to all of us. Yeah. So yeah, the good thing is the entire Vedic wisdom is available in the small text of 700 verses. The summary of it in Bhagavad Gita. Once we learn Gita, we get an understanding of all of this. So we don't need to worry. Don't need to worry if you don't know Sanskrit, or you don't have a lot of time. Just spend this 1 week, every 1 hour or 1.5 hour every week with us, or a period of time you learn. Just it's very easy. It's very simple. Just we need to open up our mind to learn this wisdom. So yeah, we'll discuss. There is more to discuss, but these foundation lessons are important. As we breeze through all of this, we get an overall idea of Bhagavad Gita and appreciate it. What is there in this wisdom text. So I will end the class here, and I would like to personally connect with you all and understand what you are looking to learn during this journey. That way, it also helps me fine tune the lessons. And all these wisdom texts, they are not just there to appreciate this philosophy. It is there to transform us and make positive changes to our life. Okay, thank you all for joining. If you have any questions, you can continue to question here. You can speak out now. It is your time. We are all in this journey together, and we'll connect personally right now because we have a lot of students. It's not practical to introduce each of you, but we will do it at one point. We're all in this together. So I want all of us, this is a personal journey for all of us together. So yeah, so thank you so much. If you have been part of Discover Yourself course, you would have learned many of these concepts before. But if not, that's okay. That's why I'm covering the fundamentals, and this journey will be very helpful. Let me know any comments that you have. If the message is too much or too less, you want me to teach in a different way. Anything is, I'm open to all your suggestions. You can all speak now. You're all open. No question is wrong. No question is bad. Do not, I used to ask very, very basic questions when I started this journey. So never feel you don't know anything. I love to answer all your questions. Okay, this is my service to Krishna, and I want to do it very, very, with dedication and full consciousness. This is my service to Krishna. For me, this is also yoga for me. Okay, understand? So thank you so much for your time, and we'll continue this journey. I hope you learn and spread this wisdom. I want all of you to become teachers and spread this wisdom all over this world. That's what we are all here for. Improve our own self and share this with everyone, with our friends, family. Everybody should become happy. That's what, right? Sarve jana sukno bhavantu. We all want to see everyone happy in this world. And that is there, that is possible when we learn the wisdom text like Gita. Thank you all so much. Thank you. Hare Krishna. My humble obeisances to all of you. Thank you. Yeah, slowly I think you will start opening up. Right now I'm giving too much now, but over a period of time you'll all become familiar with the concepts and you start opening up. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we'll discuss all the slokas. Umaji, we actually, you missed the last class, but we kind of covered all of this today. So the introductory classes are going to be a little bit repetitive because we want to nail these concepts. We want to understand, get clarity on these foundational concepts. And when we start slokas, that becomes easy. Yeah, we are going to learn all the slokas. Actually, we are going to apply all these slokas in our own life. So we are going to be in this journey together, learning all the slokas. I have been teaching this for almost, this is my third or fourth batch. So I've been doing this. I've been certified as a Bhakti Shastri teacher, and I actually lead many teachers. Yeah, now my students are teaching. So yeah, I have some experience. So you don't worry about this. We'll learn all the meanings of shlokas, everything. Yeah, I lead the overall spreading of the Gita wisdom in from the Seattle area. I have a bunch of teachers with me. We all together discuss and how we can present this message in a way that is, understandable to all of you. We discuss. We spend time discussing and on how to. I actually coach on how to teach. So yeah, I hope you're all in good hands. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Thank you all. We'll end the call here.